Okay, are we live?
I think so.
Okay, well, I'll get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Transit Equity Day. Transit Equity Day is held annually on Rosa Parks' birthday. Um, and environmental, legislative, um, labor, and community allies are congregated here today to host a press conference to call for increased investment in public transportation to improve access, air quality, and equity. Let me take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Alex Rodriguez. I work with an organization called Save the Sound as a climate advocate. And I'm here to join you all with support from the Sierra Club Connecticut, AFSCME Council 4, CT Rides, Transport Hartford Academy of the Center for Latino Progress. We're joined by the Connecticut Department of Transportation today, and State Representative Geraldo Reyes. This is a great day. Transit Equity Day is a collaborative effort of several organizations and unions to promote public transit as a civil right and as a strategy to combat climate change. It is a day to recognize that all people, have the right to a high quality public transportation system, and that is equitably transitions to clean and renewable energy in the future. I'd like to take a moment to pass the mic to Carice Reynolds from CT Rides to speak on Rosa Parks' legacy and how important this day is.
Thank you so much, Alex, and good morning to everyone. As when we think of Rosa Parks, we think of the bus boycott and how that catapulted the civil rights movement to the forefront. It showed us that one moment of defiance can catapult or create a fire for change that still burns today. She also highlighted how important transportation is and how important it is to have access to it. In our day and age, we have many households and families that don't have access to a car, and transportation is their only means of commuting to work, to getting to doctor's appointments, and to move about the state. It is important that we keep in mind and keep that fight going for education, advocacy, when it comes to health and transportation, and when it comes to just letting people know that transportation is here and it is accessible. Because there was a time where, not all people had access to equal and fair transportation all over this country. So today would be her 109th birthday of Rosa Parks. So let's keep that fire going. Let's work collaboratively as Rosa Parks did in conjunction with the NAACP and many other members of the civil rights movement. She didn't do it alone, and it's evident by today's gathering of many organizations and many advocacy groups, education groups, and outreach groups coming together to promote transportation and let people know that, hey, we're here, we're ready to help, and we want to make sure that Rosa Parks' legacy keeps going forward by making sure transportation equality is achievable to all. So thank you so much. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Carice. Thank you for elaborating on the need for coordination, collaboration, and building friendships, strong partnerships. That's what we need in this time. I'd like to take a moment to pass the mic to a personal hero of mine in the fight for transit equity and environmental justice, State Representative Geraldo Reyes, who represents Waterbury and is a member of the Transportation Committee and also chairs the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus at the legislature. Representative Reyes, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. I'd like to thank all the advocates and all the leaders and collaborators that are on this Transit Equity Day. When I start thinking about transportation and leveling the playing field, the first thing I start thinking about is not only a fair and adequate transportation, but affordable as well. And then most importantly, something that's not going to continue to pollute our environment and we need to now take things up a whole nother level. So that to that point, we should support 100% renewable energy for transportation. That said, where my environmental justice hat, we need to act quickly, as time is of the essence, to get cleaner running buses in the state of Connecticut, number one. And number two, be able to get from point A to point B. There are many points in the state of Connecticut. There are many corridors that do not have adequate transportation. I will say it's affordable, but I won't say it's adequate. It won't get you from point A to point B, and point B being a school or a university or a job. There are many corridors that don't have that type of service. Lastly, I just want to leave everybody with a few thoughts on one of the 9 pillars for the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus is transportation equity. And that, as Mr. Rodriguez alluded to earlier, is transportation, fair transportation at the right price for all. And we will continue to advocate and fight for equity in everything that we do at the Capitol, number one, but also to represent those communities that have long been overlooked and underserved. And this transportation equity is very, very important to me and to the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus. And I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you for all you do at the legislature to bring this intersectionality of issues together. I'd like to take a moment to welcome Mustafa Salahuddin, President and Business Agent of the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU Local 1336, to speak on hazard pay and everything his union is doing to accelerate transit equity. Mustafa, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you. And good morning, everyone. And I'm excited to be a part of this Transit Equity Day and to be on this panel. It is, and I just to share something with you, we're doing this on the Route 8 as well as the Coastal Link. Those are main lines, and this is the dedication to Sister Rosa Parks, fitting more than fitting dedication, and a little bit of her history. This goes over very well I'm on a fully electric bus in honor of Equity Day itself. And I'm not masked because I'm the only one on the bus. So we're prepping this bus right now to go out on the Coastal Link, and it will be out for the duration of the day. I'm honored to talk on this panel, particularly about hazard pay. It's ironic that I was picked for that subject because I am criticized and attacked when it comes to that subject on frequently. I've had a few arbitrations and also labor disputes where I was literally, the union was literally attacked in regards to some of the actions that we take as a tactic to get hazard pay. I like to say that it's ridiculous that I would even have to speak on behalf of hazard pay for those frontline workers who are out here every day, risking when they leaving their homes and risking their lives during this COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly, during this during the variants that are out here, the ever present variants. For me to have to talk about this and the importance of it is shameful, but I will do so. There was a rumor that the state of Connecticut did not want this to become a domino effect, that the powers to be in transportation do not want the managers to honor any type of hazard pay settlement or agreement, because it would cause a domino effect. And if that is the fact, and I got these from credible sources, that's shameful. It's very shameful for the simple fact that these drivers aren't asking for anything. These drivers are out here every single day doing what they love to do, and unfortunately, weathering the storm. And if you can't take the time to just recognize them in that manner, I don't know. I mean, it's one thing to say thank you. It's another way. It's another thing to compensate individuals so that they feel good about what they're doing. I mean, just look at the outpouring of support the doctors and nurses got. Just that support, just the outcry of support and thank yous resonated well among them. It gave them that extra energy to walk into that job and be proud of what they're doing. They're already proud of what they're doing, but the general public it fortified that. It fortified their ability to walk in and be the superheroes that they are. Well, bus drivers are no different. They want to be recognized for what they do as well. And they may not say it publicly out loud sometimes, but they certainly do it through their unions, and they certainly do it through their employers. But it falls on deaf ears. There's a lot of different ways to compensate these individuals in regards to hazard pay. All kinds of different ways. And I'm not going to go through right now, but it's shameful, and the general public should demand the recognition. I will give a shout out to the Greater Bridgeport Transit, who on several occasions made several attempts to let the drivers know that they appreciated them. One, by giving them a lump sum monetary one-time payment of just thanking them for their work during the pandemic, and also through other means of compensation from here to there. And I applaud them for that. But it has to be something across the board, something that resonates and sustains the mere presence of these hardworking essential workers. And I'm honored to be here today to talk about this. I'm sorry that I'm not in a better setting, but what more fitting than preparing something to go out in regards to this special day. So I want to thank everybody. Please I need everyone to echo this sentiment that transit operators, whether they drive a train, plane, bus, paratransit, whatever that they operate,
Mhm.
they need to be recognized and compensated and given hazard pay to show their not only their appreciation, but to give them the incentive to continue to do the job that they're doing. So thank you very much. Thank you for this forum. Hey, brother, and thank you for always being there, sir, and making sure that these types of messages get out. God bless everybody. Be safe. And hey, let's enjoy this Equity Day.
Thank you, Mustafa. And let me chime in agreeing with you wholeheartedly. The transit workers are the unsung heroes of this COVID-19 pandemic, and every single day. Please count on us to get out the word about how we can support hazard pay for transit workers following this forum. I'd like to present our next speaker, who's been a longtime champion for disability and mobility rights with regards to transit equity. Elaine Kolb, who joins us from West Haven, Connecticut. Elaine, the floor is yours.
Wow. I have to follow up on that one. Okay, I'm here. I'm in a 6-wheel power wheelchair. Okay? I don't get to go anywheres if I don't get assistance from bus drivers, van drivers, or accessible taxi folks. I don't have a vehicle. So, yes, hazard pay, yes. Recognition, yes. this is the thing. It was like 2 years ago. We were celebrating the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, passed in 1990. Here we are, over 31 years later. We've come a long ways, but my goodness, we have a long ways to go. As others have mentioned, you can't have access to public transportation where public transportation doesn't go. However, if you have the option of getting in someone's car and you can get somebody to do that, then it's not like it's easy, but at least you kind of sort of maybe have a chance to do it. For some of us, access to accessible, affordable, integrated, intermodal integrated public transportation is truly a lifeline. And there's a lot of people right now in the state of Connecticut that are in areas that don't have good public transportation or no public transportation, or they live in a place where it's spotty. It's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, or it's only certain hours, or a lot of people don't know that the buses, the fixed route buses, the paratransit services are only required to serve 3/4 of a mile on either side of the fixed route bus service. Now that's a corridor, but what happens when you live a mile on either side, not 3/4 of a mile? You don't get the ride. And if you want to visit somebody there, you don't get to go. I know. I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I'm one of the people, along with many others, who was literally arrested in order to get the Americans with Disabilities Act passed. And so far, I've been arrested 27 times in the struggle to enhance and improve opportunities for people with disabilities of all kinds to live in freedom in the community with home services and access to transportation that is, well, and we've come so long, but oh my goodness, we're still having to deal with the lift doesn't work, or you go someplace and they can't find the ramp. I mean, even using the trains, I use the trains too. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You have to always be prepared for the fact that it might not. And then what are you going to do? Or if you use a power wheelchair, what if it breaks down? We don't have AAA. And then right now, and I won't go on too much further because I know we're not supposed to go for a long time, but it's winter. And bless the bus drivers, they do the best that they can. But they don't clear the sidewalks, they don't clear the bus stops. And then if you're in a chair like this and you have to do the curb cuts and stuff, we end up sometimes having to get out in the street in our chairs. Do you know how dangerous that is? So bless the bus drivers who will go out of their way and try to figure out a safe place to load us and let us off. But once again, the whole system needs to work together to make sure the things are accessible, affordable, and integrated. And that means all of the different governmental systems and services working together. That's what we need, and that's what we need to push for.
Elaine, thank you for illustrating that the very real and impactful scenario. I want to thank you for all you did to accelerate the Americans for Disabilities Act, and I want to extend an open line of communication because environmental advocates, transit advocates, and the disability community, we should continue working together. I'd like to take a moment to pass the mic to Ann Hulick, who is the Connecticut State Director of Clean Water Action, longtime partner of mine. Ann will be speaking about the need for air pollution reduction with regards to transit equity. Ann, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. As Alex said, I'm the Connecticut Director of Clean Water Action, which is an environmental nonprofit advocacy organization. But I started my career as a nurse, and I worked 22 years in critical care, cardiology, cardiac surgery, and always in Waterbury and Hartford. And as a nurse, I loved what I did, but it always bothered me tremendously that we never connected what we do to the environment with health. And we were always treating people when they're sick, but not doing enough for prevention. And we saw the worst of the worst on the units that I worked in, people in those communities coming in with, really significant disease. So at Clean Water Action, I'm fortunate to work to promote policies that protect public health and the environment, like equitable transportation. We know that emissions from cars and trucks and buses have an enormous amount of toxins that are linked to cancers, respiratory diseases like asthma, COPD, emphysema, cardiovascular disease like heart attacks, strokes, and even death. And I experience this all the time, every day in my career. Statistics show that people of color and low income have a much higher percentage of these diseases. As we honor Rosa Parks today, I hope and urge that we'll move forward with equitable and clean sources of transportation, like the Advanced Clean Truck Rule, particularly for those that are most impacted. I really am proud to work with all of the allies on this call and make sure that we get this done for Connecticut, for all the residents, and for the people that are disproportionately burdened by sources of pollution, including emissions from transportation. Thank you, Alex, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you for all you do to accelerate clean transportation and really bring us back to health equity each and every day. I'd like to take a moment to welcome our final speaker of this morning, and then we'll open it up to questions. Mr. Garrett Eucalito is the Deputy Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Transportation. We're very pleased to have Garrett here with us because Garrett has been very vocal in his own respect for clean transportation. For a little bit of context, this past December, Governor Lamont unveiled an executive order with 23 recommendations that were originated through the Governor's Council on Climate Change. And a significant portion of that executive order was attention to clean transportation initiatives. And I'd like to take a moment to pass the mic to him to elaborate on how the state will be paving the way for a clean transportation future. Garrett.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks for the opportunity to join you today to talk about the importance of transit and our recent successes and where we really need to work together to champion equitable access to mobility and clean transit. I think the recognition of the essential nature of clean, accessible transit truly resonated over the past 2 years. We had some victories as well. We secured funding for expanded hours of operation in our New Haven Transit District area, New Haven Transit Service area, which is provided by CT Transit. We secured delivery of the first CT Transit electric buses. Greater Bridgeport Transit did receive the first in the state. So now CT Transit also has some on the road. We ran our Weekend Wheels free weekend bus service last summer. We launched Ira, which is an app for it provides individuals with visual impairments easier access to transit operations and help navigating our transit systems. And most recently, we launched new transit service between Waterbury and Meriden, connecting those two cities. And as Alex mentioned, Governor Lamont signed an executive order ensuring that Connecticut's going to move towards a fully electrified, clean transit system over the next 12 to 15 years, replacing all of our diesel buses with battery electric buses, reducing a major source of carbon emissions and diesel particulate matter in communities that have been historically overburdened by air pollution. Governor Lamont also directed ConnDOT to set a target for a reduction of travel on our roadways and directed us to identify how to achieve that. And this is going to be critical for us in Connecticut as we reduce single occupant vehicle travel in our state. That's going to help improve quality of life and reduce emissions in our state. So moving forward, we have a lot to work on to build a better, cleaner, safer, accessible, and more equitable Connecticut, and transit really is at the center of that. So thanks for inviting ConnDOT to join today and being partners in this effort.
Hello. So now we will open it up to questions from the press, if there's any. Any questions? We should note that we are having a follow-up webinar at 12 p.m. To elaborate on many of the points brought up by our speakers today. So you are all more than welcome to join us for that portion of the program. And I'll just open it up one more time for any questions. Okay, well, I should note that this is being recorded via Transport Hartford Academy's Facebook Live. And so if anyone has any questions, wants to go back to any details they may have missed, please go back. Please go to Transport Hartford Academy's Facebook page, and they will have a recording of this webinar here. And it will also be later published on their YouTube channel. Any last points from the co-hosts, Renee and Sam? Okay, well, that wraps up this portion of the program. Thank you all for joining us today, and stay tuned for the press release later on in the day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.